Ian Anderson changed the name of his band so much that eventually he was looking at a poster and he couldn't remember which one was his. It was the least recognizable. He did all those name changes because they were having difficulty getting gigs a second time, so they figured with a new name. They finally settled on the name from an 18th century agriculturalist. And in a sense, the band has always had kind of a historical sensibility. Oh, and Ian started as a guitar player, but then decided that he would never be more than a third-rate Eric Clapton. Of course, we didn't really talk about Clapton much other than Sunshine of Your Love, blues scale solfege, do do te do so fi fa do me do. But realizing that he wasn't ever going to get that good, he took up the flute, and evidently, of course, in rock and roll, not a whole lot of flute players, and he played it for about 2 weeks before he realized that with his general musical background, he could get up on the stage and do it. He had his flute lessons by performing with the band. And here we have from their first album, Stand Up, which remains among their greatest, starting kind of folk rock, but eventually moving towards hard rock. And this is kind of jazz rock. And also neoclassic, neo-baroque, in that we have a bourrée, one of those dance suite numbers, alternative dance, French, from a Bach suite for lute. He does it in a syncopated way, originally in E minor, this is in D minor, but he does it in such a way that in some ways he's gone beyond the original as to an even more impressive display. He only does the first phrase, and then from that he treats that first phrase harmonically to the A section of the original binary piece, A-B, and he uses that then as a basis of jazz rock improvisation. Dynamic. Right, we heard Ian Anderson with Pastime with Good Company before this, and I thought this was more appropriate to put the Bach cover, shall we say, at this point, because Ian Anderson and company take it to lengths that far go beyond any notion of the double, the variation, as you would have in Baroque times. All right, if Ian is putting on kind of a persona when playing that flute, standing on one leg often, and originally it was reported erroneously that he was playing the flute on one leg. He was actually playing a harmonica at one point on one leg, bracing the mic with the other hand. He's playing the harmonica, and once he read the report that it was said that he had played the flute that way, he thought, what a good idea, so he did it. If Ian Anderson is taking on a persona for the sake of the art, how much more is David Bowie, almost consumed by his personae? He first claimed to fame with Space Oddity. He was originally professionally Davy Jones, but there was a member of the Monkees with that name, so got to go somewhere else, and eventually hitting upon David Bowie, the Bowie knife, the 19th century explorer, and then taking on this persona with a shock of reddish hair and an androgynous personality. Ziggy Stardust, an alien, some emissary from outer space, and in Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars, the rise and fall of Ziggy Stardust, kind of a concept album, although they made up the concept as they went along. The actual track, Ziggy Stardust, which is fourth on side 2, it's a wonderful album overall, and many of the works are actually then re-performed in strikingly different versions in the David Live album, which we'll talk about in just a moment. But with Ziggy Stardust, this is the notion of fame, absolute power corrupts absolutely, and Maybe the same with Fame. The rise of Ziggy into stardom and his band, the Spiders from Mars, and the adulating crowds are both such that it was too much for the character. When the kids had killed a man, I had to break up the band. And we get, before that, that classic bass line, and it is done in A minor form. And do 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 do, te 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 te, lay, so lay, so lay, so lay, te do 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 do, which we've heard from Jimmy Page and Robert Plant et al. With Led Zeppelin, and from many other artists, present company included. And that is the bridge section, or maybe, well, it's a bridge, it's not really a chorus. Is there a chorus in the piece? Structure, verse 1, verse 2, bridge, or well, maybe we'll call it the chorus. Maybe we'll call it the chorus. So verse 1, verse 2, chorus, verse 3, chorus, and then coda based on verse, and you're just going to be hearing the end of it. After that, just the beginning of the album David Live, which was live at the Tower Theater in kind of charitable would say suburban Philadelphia. It's just across the border from the city, a very urbanized suburb, where I was born actually, Upper Darby, go figure, the Tower Theater. These were recordings done over several performing days and somewhat altered and enriched by some studio effects. Some of the backing singers and so on were not quite amplified, and you get the ambience of the crowd, and this is a take on 1984, starting with a very demented oboe solo, which I think connects up to what eventually would happen with Andy Summer and the Police, but of course that's actually in the future. It just so happens we heard in the past because Andy Summer being an older composer. So at any rate, demented oboe, some almost chants. Is it the crowd? Is it someone in the band? And then the aggressive edge to the accompaniment beginning, and then the eventual verse and chorus of 1984, which evokes the Orwell novel. And by the time this was done, it was still, 1984 was still 10 years away. But it sounds like it's the ominous future is already with us, and even more with us in the present day.
Making love with his ego, Ziggy sucked up into his mind, like a leper messiah. When the kids had killed a man, I had to break up the band. Oh yeah. Ziggy played guitar. Someday they won't let you, now you must agree. Times they are a-telling, changing isn't free. You've read it in the papers, tracks are on TV. Beware the saddest dawn of 1984.
From the day we arrive on the planet and blinking step into the sun, there's more to see than can ever be seen, more to do than can ever be done. There's so